Hello and welcome here. Not every Marvel superhero movie has a happy ending. Even though superhero movies are the archetypal representation of good against evil in popular culture, with the heroes battling formidable adversaries to rescue the world. Superhero movies are often recognized for their heroes rescuing the day, while sometimes individual heroes star in solo films and other times a team band together to combat evil. In some cases, the hero even ends up being completely vanquished and is forced to regroup, while in other cases, the villain escapes unscathed and is getting ready to show up again in the following film. In some superhero films, the protagonist does triumph, but only after sacrificing all to thwart the forces of evil. Here are 7 Marvel movies with depressing or unhappy endings. Number 1. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania by introducing the audience to the tiny quantum realm and its cruel ruler Kang the Conqueror, which was played by Jonathan Majors. Quantumania broadens the scope of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Although Scott Lang and his companions successfully stop Kang and return to the world above, Quantumania theoretically ends on a triumphant note. However, Scott's reflection on the evil Kang warned him about suggests that he is aware that there are yet worse things to come. The last scene of Quantumania, when hundreds of Kang variations are getting ready to take over the globe, further underlines this idea. Number 2. Captain America: Civil War. In Captain America: Civil War, which is based on the Marvel Comics Civil War narrative arc, the Avengers become ideologically split after the Sokovia Accords, which were designed to give the government control over superhuman activities, are put into effect. Earth's mightiest heroes are split apart as a result of this upheaval and Captain America's attempt to free his previously brainwashed buddy Bucky Barnes. In the end, it is revealed that Helmut Zemo's vindictive actions are what first caused their dispute, and that only Thanos' inevitable arrival would be able to mend their division. Number 3. Captain America: The First Avenger. In Captain America: The First Avenger, the once frail Steve Rogers gains strength after receiving an infusion of the experimental super soldier serum. Despite having helped his troops achieve several successes during World War II, Steve is forced to make a significant sacrifice in order to prevent a Hydra aircraft from reaching New York City by crashing it into the Arctic. Steve awakens in 21st century New York after being cryogenically frozen for decades and realizes that the last 70 years have gone. Unfortunately, Steve's cryogenic sleep prevents him from keeping his date with Peggy Carter, despite his promise to do so. It was originally intended for Captain America's first MCU solo film to have the first half of the story take place during World War II and the second half during the present. However, it was a much wiser decision to make the entire film a pulpy World War II adventure, saving the present-day awakening for a final scene twist. After his victorious suicide, Steve Rogers awakens in a hospital room decorated in the manner of the 1940s and senses something is off since he attended the baseball game being relayed on the radio. He exits the building quickly and finds himself at the current Times Square. When Nick Fury approaches him, his main thought is that he missed his rendezvous with Peggy. Number 4. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which was directed by Sam Raimi, Scarlet Witch, under the power of the Darkhold, transforms into a homicidal antagonist desperate to reach her children in another realm. Wanda's demise is heartbreaking despite Doctor Strange stopping her due to her legacy of valor as an Avenger. Additionally, the movie's Raimi-style cliffhanger implies that not all has been made right in the universe, with the appearance of Clea and Strange suddenly growing a third eye. The audio commentary for the film reveals that Doctor Strange 2's original ending was entirely different and significantly darker. The original conclusion revealed that Sinister Strange had switched places with the normal Strange, trapping the latter in the Incursion reality. There was planned to be a famous Vincent Price chuckle as the third eye appears in New York City's streets, which would have brought the movie to a close similarly to how Michael Jackson's Thriller video does. It's better that the Doctor Strange 2 ending was modified, even though the original one would have seemed extremely in keeping with director Sam Raimi's aesthetic. For starters, it would have put the Doctor Strange franchise in an awkward situation from which Marvel would have needed to work harder than necessary to recover. Even while an ambiguous resolution might work, it's important for viewers to leave the film knowing where Strange fits into the world, especially after all the universe hopping. Number 5. X-Men: First Class. X-Men: First Class, which is set in 1962, tells the story of how Professor Charles Xavier and Eric Lencher came to be the X-Men. Unfortunately, the fight between Xavier and Eric over humankind's prejudice against mutants was the main plot point of X-Men: First Class. X-Men: First Class also finishes with Eric ultimately turning into the malevolent mutant known as Magneto, leaving Xavier paralyzed from the waist down. Being a fan favorite, Banshee was among the most thrilling to watch come to life, complete with Sonic screaming. That being said, while his introduction was a pleasant surprise, it resulted in a depressing and ultimately futile finale. After X-Men First Class, Banshee was not reintroduced. Audiences could have been misled into thinking that he stayed with Xavier for a while in order to support the expansion of his institution. But Banshee had left the Academy and vanished during the 10 years prior to the events of X-Men Days of Future Past. Banshee was a victim of Bolivar Trask's Sentinel program experimentation, as Mystique subsequently revealed in Days of Future Past. Banshee never had the chance to join the other X-Men, whether he passed either naturally or at the hands of Trask's henchmen. But what he went through with Trask was the true tragedy. Whether he was alive or not, Trask experimented on his body to make his inventions better. Regrettably, this implied that Banshee's brain was probably subjected to testing since Trask created a tool to identify the mutant gene. Even though he and several other mutants met such horrifying ends, his demise could have been worse because it ultimately had no lasting impact, not even on the adversary. Number 6. Avengers Infinity War. Thanos, the main villain of the MCU's Infinity Saga, would eventually make his debut in Avengers Infinity War. Thanos defeats the efforts of the Avengers to stop him, carrying out the infamous genocide that would become known as the Snap, in his quest to collect the 6 Infinity Stones in order to split the universe's population in half and stop resource depletion like it did on his home planet Titan. Superheroes including Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and many others disintegrate in front of the heroes as Infinity War comes to an incredibly gloomy conclusion. The Avengers attempt to stop him in the Infinity War epilogue, murdering Vision in the process so that the Mind Stone within his skull may be destroyed. Thanos, however, just uses the Time Stone to turn the situation around and obtain all 6 stones. Thanos has triumphed. Both humans and aliens start to fall apart as he snaps his fingers. Many of Marvel's superheroes slowly dissolve to dust in a spectacular animation. As her king, Black Panther, disintegrates, Okoye sobs. As he sees his companion pass away once more, Rocket attempts to hold on to Groot. Teenage Spider-Man pleads for his life in Iron Man's arms before vanishing into oblivion. In total, 12 heroes: Black Panther, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Bucky Barnes, Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Star-Lord, Groot, Drax, Mantis, Nick Fury, and Maria Hill, as well as billions of people disappear. Number 7. Logan. In James Mangold's Logan, by far the darkest installment of the X-Men series, with the famed Old Man Logan comics storyline as its primary inspiration, Wolverine would finally pop his claws for a genuinely R-rated ride. The young Laura and other juvenile mutants are shielded from the pursuing Transigen businesses by an aged Logan. Logan finally gives his life to save the kids when his mentor Professor Charles Xavier is murdered during their journey, and Laura mournfully erects an X as a gravestone for him. Even though Hugh Jackman made a follow-up appearance in Deadpool 3, the ending of Logan still made many cry. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. See you soon.